Chapter 6 of Wuthering Heights, Hindley returns from college for Mr. Earnshaw's funeral, surprising his family by bringing home a wife, Frances Earnshaw. Hindley's wife really dislikes Heathcliff and tries but fails to bond with Cathy. Hindley, more conscious of status than ever, becomes tyrannical, depriving Heathcliff of further education and forcing him to become a servant working on the estate's farm. But Hindley is also entirely negligent in his supervision. He has no idea that Cathy and Heathcliff sneak out to the moors every day. One night, Hindley locks Cathy and Heathcliff out of the house as punishment for staying out too long. Mrs. Dean waits up for them, but Heathcliff returns alone. It turns out Heathcliff and Cathy raced across the moors to spy on their neighbors, the Lintons, at Thrushcross Grange. They look through a window, curious to see how Edgar and Isabella, the Linton children, live, wondering if they have more freedom. Their laughter scares Edgar and Isabella, who are in the middle of a fight over a puppy, practically pulling it apart between them. This wakes up their parents. Mr. Linton lets loose a bulldog that bites Cathy on the ankle. A servant calls the dog off and brings Heathcliff and Cathy into the house. Mr. Linton at first thinks Heathcliff is a thief coming to rob him on rent day. But Mrs. Linton recognizes Cathy and then remembers Mr. Earnshaw adopted Heathcliff. The Lintons dislike Heathcliff and force him to return to Wuthering Heights without Cathy. The beginning of this chapter reinforces Cathy and Heathcliff's camaraderie and their vow to grow up as rude as savages. Out on the moors, they are both free from harsh authority and the differences in social status that otherwise keep them separate. But by the end of the chapter, Heathcliff must watch from outside, looking through a window as Cathy enjoys the comforts inside the Linton home. This foreshadows future situations to come in which Heathcliff will be forced to watch Cathy lead a life of privilege from which he is excluded. This chapter also introduces Edgar and Isabella Linton, who will play the foils, a literary term for when opposites provide contrast, to Heathcliff and Cathy. Thrushcross Grange itself also acts as a foil, representing social propriety as opposed to the wildness and violence at Wuthering Heights. Dogs often appear at moments when a boundary of some kind is being crossed. Here, a dog bite signals the start of a major shift in Cathy and Heathcliff's relationship. Her injury by the Linton's bulldog immerses Cathy in the upper-class society she shuns yet belongs in, and it also divides her from Heathcliff.